A billionaire kneels in a cramped kitchen, mac and cheese bubbling on the stove. 4 identical toddlers peeking around the corner. His ex-wife, the woman he divorced for being barren, stands frozen. He's asking her to marry him again. The children are watching, and they're his. Before we dive in, comment where in the world you are watching from and don't forget to click subscribe. Marcus Sterling checked his watch for the 3rd time, fighting the urge to just leave. He hated these school events, the forced smiles, the small talk with parents who didn't understand that time was money. But Vivian had insisted, batting those perfectly lined eyes and reminding him that supporting her daughter Chelsea was part of being a good stepfather. So here he stood, in the parking lot of Ridgemont Academy, the most prestigious private school in Manhattan, wearing a suit that cost more than most people's monthly rent, and wondering how quickly he could escape. Vivian appeared beside him, looking flawless as always in a cream dress that probably required 3 people to zip up. 28 years old, blonde, and absolutely certain that the world revolved around her beauty, which Marcus had to admit, it kind of did. "Darling, try to look less like you're at a board meeting," she said, adjusting his tie. "Chelsea's performed so hard for this recital. The girl is 8. How hard could she have practiced?" Marcus thought, but didn't say. Instead, he smiled and took Vivian's arm, playing the role of doting husband number 2. They walked toward the school's auditorium, passing groups of families laughing together. Kids were running around in their little uniforms, parents were taking pictures, and Marcus felt that familiar emptiness, the one that had been there since the divorce 3 years ago, the one he'd tried to fill with Vivian's youth and energy and constant demands for attention. It wasn't working, but he'd never admit that out loud. Not after what he'd given up. Then he saw her. Marcus stopped so abruptly that Vivian stumbled in her heels. "What on earth?" she started, but Marcus wasn't listening. 20 feet away, standing near the main entrance with 4 children surrounding her like planets orbiting the sun, was Naomi. His Naomi. Except she wasn't his anymore. Hadn't been for 3 years. Not since he'd signed those divorce papers and walked away from their 7-year marriage because she couldn't give him the one thing that mattered. An heir, a family, a legacy. But there she was. And she had children. 4 of them. Marcus felt like someone had just punched him in the stomach and stolen all the air from his lungs. The children were about 2.5 years old, all of them in matching school uniforms. And even from this distance, he could see features that made his blood run cold. The little boy on her left had his chin, that same stubborn set to his jaw. One of the girls had his eyes, that unusual gray-green that everyone always commented on. Another child had his grandmother's nose, the sterling nose that appeared in every family portrait dating back 5 generations. "Marcus, what are you staring at?" Vivian's voice came from far away like she was speaking underwater. He couldn't respond. Couldn't move. Couldn't process what he was seeing. Naomi looked different than he remembered. Her hair was natural now, thick coils pulled back from her face, and she'd lost the careful polish she used to maintain. No designer clothes, just jeans and a simple sweater. But she was smiling, genuinely smiling in a way he hadn't seen in the last 2 years of their marriage. And the children were all talking at once, pulling at her hands, showing her things, laughing. One of the boys pointed at something and Naomi laughed, the sound carrying across the parking lot and hitting Marcus like a physical blow. He knew that laugh, used to make it his mission to hear it every single day. But somewhere along the way, during the endless doctor's appointments and failed treatments and mounting frustration, that laugh had disappeared. And then she had disappeared, signing the divorce papers without a fight, taking almost nothing in the settlement, vanishing from his life like she'd never existed. Except she had existed, and apparently, she'd been pregnant. Marcus did the math quickly in his head. The children were about 2.5, maybe close to 3, which meant she would have conceived right before the divorce, right before he'd sat her down in their penthouse and told her he couldn't do it anymore. Couldn't keep trying. Couldn't stay in a marriage that would never produce children. He'd been cruel about it too, he remembered now with sickening clarity. Had blamed her body, her inability to give him what he needed. "Marcus, seriously, who are you looking at?" Vivian grabbed his arm, following his gaze. "Is that your ex-wife?" Her voice sharpened with interest in something else. Suspicion, maybe. Jealousy. The one you said was Barren. Marcus wanted to correct her, wanted to say that he'd never used that word, but he had. Multiple times. To his lawyers, to his business partners, to anyone who asked why he was divorcing a woman he'd once sworn to love forever. She can't have children, he'd said, as if that was the only thing that mattered about a person. As if Naomi had been nothing more than a failed incubator for his dynasty. Those are her kids, Vivian continued, and Marcus could hear the disbelief in her voice. 4 of them. How is that possible? You said she couldn't get pregnant. I thought she couldn't, Marcus managed to say, his voice sounding strange even to his own ears. Apparently I was wrong. He started walking toward them before he could think about it, his feet moving on their own. Vivian called after him, but he ignored her. He had to know, had to confirm what every instinct was screaming at him. Those were his children. His. Naomi looked up as he approached, and her smile disappeared so completely it was like watching lights go out. Her whole body tensed, and she instinctively moved closer to the children, one hand on each of the 2 nearest to her. The other 2, noticing her reaction, stopped their chatter and stared at Marcus with identical expressions of curiosity mixed with wariness. Marcus, Naomi said, her voice carefully neutral. What are you doing here? I could ask you the same question, he replied, trying to keep his voice steady. His eyes kept moving to the children, cataloging every feature, every familiar gesture. One of the girls was standing exactly like his mother used to, weight on one hip, head tilted slightly. It was uncanny. Chelsea has a recital, Naomi said. My children go to school here. Yours are in the early childhood program? Marcus couldn't stop staring. How old are they? Why does that matter? Naomi's voice was sharp now, protective. They're my children, Marcus. Not yours. Not your concern. They look like me, he said bluntly. All 4 of them have sterling features. That's impossible to miss, Naomi. The boy with his jaw stepped forward slightly. Mama, who is this man? His voice was small but clear, and Marcus felt something crack inside his chest. The child had called her Mama. These were her babies, her family, the family she'd built without him. This is no one, Naomi said firmly, taking the boy's hand. Just someone Mama used to know a long time ago. Come on, kids. We need to check in. She tried to move past him, but Marcus stepped into her path. How old are they, Naomi? I need to know. I'm not having this conversation here, she hissed, glancing at the children who were watching with wide eyes. Not in front of them. Then when? Where? Give me a time and place, because I'm not walking away from this. You walked away 3 years ago, she shot back, anger flashing in her eyes. You made it very clear that I wasn't enough for you. That we weren't enough. Now move, or I'll call security. Marcus stepped aside, watching helplessly as Naomi herded the children toward the school entrance. The 4 kids kept looking back at him, confused and curious. One of the girls waved shyly, and Marcus felt his throat tighten. He stood frozen in the parking lot until Vivian appeared at his elbow. Well, that was dramatic, she said lightly. Want to tell me what that was about? Not now, Marcus said. He pulled out his phone and started typing. James, I need you to pull up everything you can find on Naomi Sterling. I mean everything. Medical records, financial statements, school registrations for children. His assistant responded immediately. Sir, are you sure? That might cross some legal boundaries. I don't care about boundaries, Marcus typed back. I need to know if those children are mine. The recital was torture. Marcus sat in the auditorium next to Vivian, watching Chelsea perform some dance routine, but his mind was miles away. All he could think about was those 4 little faces, those 4 sets of eyes that held pieces of him. When Chelsea came running up afterward, beaming and expecting praise, Marcus could barely muster a smile. You did great, sweetie, he said automatically. Vivian shot him a look that promised a fight later, but he couldn't bring himself to care. As soon as they got home, Marcus went straight to his study and shut the door. His phone was already buzzing with information from James. The first thing he pulled up was the school registration. 4 children, all enrolled under the name Sterling. Ethan, Emma, Elliot, and Eden Sterling. Birthday February 14th, 3 years ago. Marcus leaned back in his chair, doing the calculation again. February 14th. That would put conception around May. He and Naomi had signed the divorce papers in June, which meant she would have been pregnant when he handed her those papers, would have been carrying his children, 4 of them, when he told her she was deficient, broken, incapable of being a mother. The medical records were harder to access, but James had connections everywhere. Marcus stared at the screen, reading through Naomi's hospital records from 3 years ago. Emergency admission, high-risk quadruplet pregnancy, patient presented with severe complications, preeclampsia, early delivery at 32 weeks, all 4 infants admitted to NICU. Marcus felt sick. She'd almost died. She'd been pregnant with quadruplets, his quadruplets, and she'd almost died giving birth to them, and he hadn't known, hadn't been there. Had probably been celebrating his freedom with Vivian while Naomi fought for her life in a hospital room. There was a soft knock on his study door. "Marcus," Vivian called through the wood. "Are you going to tell me what's going on?" "Not now," he said. "I'm working. You've been in there for hours. Chelsea's upset that you barely paid attention to her performance." "I said not now," Marcus snapped. He heard Vivian huff and walk away, her heels clicking angrily on the marble floor. Good. He needed to think. Needed to figure out what to do with this information that was destroying everything he thought he knew about his life. He picked up his phone and typed a message to Naomi. "We need to talk. About the children." The response came back almost immediately. "There's nothing to discuss. They're mine, Marcus. You gave up any right to them 3 years ago. I never knew they existed," he typed back. "You never told me you were pregnant." "By the time I found out, you'd already made your feelings clear," she responded. "You said I was deficient, that I couldn't give you what you needed. Why would I come crawling back to tell you that you were wrong?" "Because they're my children," Marcus wrote, his fingers shaking. "I had a right to know." The phone rang instead of another text. He answered immediately. "You had no rights," Naomi said, her voice low and furious. "You divorced me because you thought I was broken. You married a younger woman 6 months later. You moved on with your life like our 7 years together meant nothing. So no, Marcus, you don't get to show up now and claim these kids just because you saw them at school." "I'm their father," Marcus said. "DNA doesn't make you a father," Naomi shot back. "Being there makes you a father. Loving them, sacrificing for them, showing up every single day. That's what makes you a father. And you weren't there. You chose not to be there." "I didn't know," Marcus repeated. "I would have been there if I'd known." "Would you?" Naomi's voice was bitter. "Would you really? Or would you have accused me of trapping you, of getting pregnant on purpose to save the marriage? I know you, Marcus. I know how your mind works. You would have demanded paternity tests and lawyers and prenups. You would have made it about the sterling name and the sterling money and the sterling legacy. You would have treated me and our children like a business transaction. She wasn't wrong." Marcus hated that she wasn't wrong. "That's not fair," he said weakly. "Nothing about this is fair," Naomi replied. "I was pregnant and alone and terrified. I was carrying 4 babies, and I didn't know if I'd survive. I didn't know if they'd survive. I spent 6 weeks in the hospital on bed rest. I delivered at 32 weeks and then spent 2 months in the NICU watching our babies fight for every breath. Where were you, Marcus? You were on your honeymoon with Vivian. I saw the pictures in the society pages. The Maldives, wasn't it? Very romantic." Marcus felt like she'd just slapped him. "I didn't know," he said again, because he had nothing else. "And whose fault is that?" Naomi asked. "You served me divorce papers and I signed them. I took the settlement you offered, which was barely enough to survive on, by the way, and I disappeared like you wanted. I didn't fight. I didn't make demands. I gave you exactly what you asked for. Freedom. So you don't get to be angry now that you missed out. You made your choice. I made mine." "What choice did you make?" Marcus asked. "I chose to protect my children from a father who sees them as commodities," Naomi said quietly. "I chose to raise them without the pressure of living up to the sterling name. I chose to give them a normal life where they're loved for who they are, not for what DNA they carry. They deserve to know their father, Marcus said. They deserve to know the truth. The truth, Naomi repeated. The truth is that their father didn't want them. The truth is that he chose a younger woman over their mother. The truth is that he built a new family without them. That's the truth, Marcus. Is that what you want to tell them? That's not the whole story, Marcus protested. Then what is the whole story? Naomi challenged. Tell me, Marcus. Make me understand why I should let you anywhere near my children. Marcus opened his mouth and realized he had no answer. Because the truth was ugly. The truth was that he'd been so obsessed with having an heir that he'd destroyed his marriage. The truth was that he'd blamed Naomi for their fertility problems when the doctors had never definitively determined who had the issue. The truth was that he'd been weak and impatient and selfish. I made a mistake, he finally said. The biggest mistake of my life. Great, Naomi said. Acknowledge your mistakes, Marcus. Work on yourself. Become a better person. But do it away from my family. They're my family too, he insisted. Are they? Naomi asked. Because family isn't just biology, Marcus. It's showing up. It's being present. It's loving unconditionally. And you've never been good at any of those things. I could learn, Marcus said desperately. I could be better. For 29 years? Naomi laughed harshly. They're 2.5 years old, Marcus. You've already missed that time. You missed their first words, their first steps, their first everything. You can't get that back. So what do you want? To swoop in now and play weekend dad? To confuse them with your presence and then disappear when it gets hard? That's not what I want, Marcus said. Then what do you want? Tell me exactly what you want, Marcus. Because from where I'm standing, you want to ease your guilt. You want to feel like a good person. You want to check the box that says father, so you can add it to your list of achievements. But my children are not a box to check. They're real people with real feelings, and they're doing just fine without you. I want to know them, Marcus said quietly. I want to be part of their lives. I want them to know who I am. Why? Naomi asked. So they can grow up with your impossible standards? So they can feel like they're never good enough? So they can learn that love is conditional and based on performance? No thank you, Marcus. I've worked too hard to build their confidence and security to let you tear it down. I've changed, Marcus said. Have you? Naomi's voice was skeptical. Have you really? Or have you just realized what you lost? Because those are two different things, Marcus. Changing means you're a different person. Regret just means you want what you can't have. I am different, Marcus insisted, even as he wondered if it was true. Prove it, Naomi said. How do I do that? Show me that you care about them more than you care about your legacy, Naomi said. Show me that you can love without conditions. Show me that you won't abandon them the moment things get difficult. Show me that you're not the same man who threw away a 7-year marriage because his wife couldn't produce an heir on demand. And until you can show me that, stay away from my children. Our children, Marcus corrected automatically. No, Naomi said firmly. My children. You lost the right to call them yours when you signed those divorce papers, Marcus. You don't get to claim them now just because it's convenient. They have a mother who loves them. They have a life that works. They don't need you. But I need them, Marcus said. And it was the most honest thing he'd said in years. That's not their problem, Naomi replied, and hung up. Marcus sat in his study, staring at his phone, feeling more lost than he'd ever felt in his life. Somewhere in this city, his children were going to bed without knowing he existed. His 4 children, quadruplets, 2 boys and 2 girls, Ethan, Emma, Elliot, and Eden. He'd missed 2.5 years of their lives, missed everything. And Naomi was right. He couldn't get that time back. But maybe he could change the future. Maybe he could prove that he was different now, that he'd learned from his mistakes. The question was how. How did he show Naomi that he'd changed when she refused to give him a chance? The door to his study opened without a knock. Vivian stood in the doorway, her arms crossed, her face tight with anger. Are you going to tell me what's going on? She demanded. Those children are mine, Marcus said. All 4 of them. They're from my marriage to Naomi. Vivian's face went white. What? I didn't know, Marcus said quickly. She never told me she was pregnant. She found out after we separated. That's impossible, Vivian said. You said she was barren. You said that's why you divorced her. You said she couldn't have children. I was wrong, Marcus said. Obviously. Vivian walked into the room, her heels clicking sharply on the hardwood. So what now? She asked. You just found out you have 4 children with your ex-wife, and what? You're going to play happy family? I don't know, Marcus admitted. I need to figure out how to be part of their lives. Vivian laughed, but it wasn't a pleasant sound. You're joking, right? Tell me you're joking, Marcus. I'm not joking, he said. They're my children, Vivian. I can't just ignore that. You ignored them for 2.5 years, she pointed out. I didn't know they existed, Marcus said again, getting tired of repeating himself. Well, now you do, Vivian said. So what does that mean for us? For our marriage? I don't know, Marcus said honestly. I need time to think. Time to think, Vivian repeated. About whether you want to stay married to me or chase after your ex-wife and her children? They're my children too, Marcus said. Are they? Vivian's voice turned cold. Because it sounds like they're her children, Marcus. She raised them. She took care of them. She did everything without you. And now you want to just step into their lives, into her life. This isn't about Naomi, Marcus said. Isn't it? Vivian challenged. Come on, Marcus. I saw how you looked at her. I saw your face when you realized those were your kids. You're not thinking about the children. You're thinking about her. You're thinking about what you lost. That's not true, Marcus said. But even as he said it, he wondered. Was it true? Was this about the children? Or was it about Naomi? About the life he'd thrown away? About the woman he'd loved before he destroyed everything? I'm going to bed, Vivian announced. In the guest room. You can sleep out here and think about what you want. But Marcus, if you choose them, if you choose her, then we're done. You can't have both. She left, slamming the door behind her. Marcus sat alone in his study, surrounded by the trappings of his success. Awards on the walls, expensive furniture, a view of Manhattan that people would kill for. And none of it meant anything. He'd built an empire, made billions, achieved every goal he'd ever set for himself. And he was completely, utterly alone. He pulled out his phone and opened the school's website. There was a parent portal, he discovered, a place where parents could log in and see their children's information. Schedules, photos, updates. He tried to log in with various combinations of his information, but nothing worked. Of course not. He wasn't listed as a parent. Marcus started typing an email to the school administration. He was Marcus Sterling, CEO of Sterling Enterprises. He had resources and connections and money. Surely he could get access to information about his own children. But then he stopped, his fingers hovering over the keyboard. Is this who he was? Is this who he wanted to be? The man who used power and money to force his way into his children's lives? The man Naomi had described? He deleted the email and put his phone down. The next morning, Marcus was standing outside Ridgemont Academy before the school day started. He knew he looked ridiculous. A billionaire CEO lurking in a school parking lot like some kind of stalker. But he had to see them again. Had to confirm that last night wasn't some kind of fever dream. At 7:45, Naomi's car pulled into the parking lot. An older model sedan, nothing like the luxury vehicles Marcus was used to. She got out and started helping the children out of their car seats. 4 car seats. Marcus couldn't imagine how she managed that every day, getting 4 toddlers ready, fed, dressed, and to school on time by herself. He watched as she juggled backpacks and lunchboxes and sippy cups, talking to each child, smoothing hair, adjusting clothes. She was patient and calm, even when one of the boys sat down in the middle of the parking lot and refused to move. Come on, Elliot, she said gently. We talked about this. No sitting in parking lots. Cars can't see you down there. The boy, Elliot, Marcus's son, looked up at her with those sterling gray-green eyes. But I don't want to go to school today. I know, baby, Naomi said, crouching down beside him. But Miss Jennifer is waiting for you. And you love Miss Jennifer. Remember? She said you were going to help her with the butterfly garden today. Elliot considered this, then nodded and stood up. The other 3 children were waiting patiently, holding each other's hands. Marcus noticed how they instinctively looked out for each other, how Emma kept her hand on Eden's shoulder, how Ethan stood protectively near his siblings. They were a unit, a team, a family, and he wasn't part of it. Naomi looked up and saw him standing there. Her face hardened immediately. "Are you serious right now?" she called across the parking lot. "Are you following us, Marcus?" "I need to talk to you," he said, walking toward her. The children shrank back, moving behind their mother. "We talked last night," Naomi said. "There's nothing left to say." "Please," Marcus said. 5 minutes. That's all I'm asking." Naomi looked at the children, then back at Marcus. Her jaw was tight with anger, but she nodded. "Kids, go inside with Miss Jennifer," she said, pointing to a teacher who was waiting at the entrance. "I'll be right behind you." "But Mama," Emma protested. "Now, Emma," Naomi said firmly. "All 4 of you. Inside. I'll see you at pickup." The children reluctantly filed toward the building, looking back repeatedly. Marcus watched them go, memorizing every detail. "You have 3 minutes," Naomi said, crossing her arms. "Start talking." "I want to be part of their lives," Marcus said. "I know I don't deserve it. I know I have no right to ask. But they're my children, Naomi. I can't just walk away now that I know they exist." "You walked away before," she pointed out. "That was different," Marcus said. "I didn't know." "And if you had," Naomi challenged, "if I'd told you I was pregnant the day you served me with divorce papers, what would you have done, Marcus? Be honest." Marcus opened his mouth, then closed it, because the honest answer was ugly. He would have demanded a paternity test, would have accused her of trying to trap him, would have made everything complicated and painful and legal. "I don't know," he finally admitted. "But I'd like to think I would have done the right thing." "Would you?" Naomi asked. "Because the Marcus I knew 3 years ago only cared about one thing: his legacy, his heir, his perfect Sterling dynasty. And when he thought he couldn't have that, he threw away everything else like it didn't matter." "I'm not that man anymore," Marcus said. "Prove it," Naomi said. "That's what I'm trying to do," Marcus replied. "But you won't give me a chance." "Why should I?" Naomi asked. "Give me one good reason why I should let you disrupt the life I've built for my children." "Because they deserve to know their father," Marcus said. "They deserve to have both parents." "They have both parents," Naomi said. "I'm both parents. I'm the one who wakes up with them at night when they have bad dreams. I'm the one who packs their lunches and helps with homework and reads bedtime stories. I'm the one who's been there for every single moment of their lives. You're just the sperm donor." "That's not fair," Marcus protested. "Nothing about this is fair," Naomi shot back. "It wasn't fair that I had to go through that pregnancy alone. It wasn't fair that I almost died giving birth to your children while you were off living your best life. It wasn't fair that I've spent the last 2.5 years being both mother and father to 4 kids because you decided I wasn't good enough. So don't talk to me about fair, Marcus. You lost that right." "I'm sorry," Marcus said quietly. "I'm so sorry, Naomi. For everything. For blaming you, for leaving you. For not being there." "Sorry doesn't change anything," Naomi said. "Sorry doesn't give me back the nights I sat in the NICU praying my babies would survive. Sorry doesn't help me pay for daycare or rent or food or any of the 1,000 things 4 children need. Sorry is just a word, Marcus. It doesn't mean anything." "Then let me do something that does mean something," Marcus said. "Let me help. Let me provide for them. Let me be involved." "I don't need your money," Naomi said. "I'm doing fine on my own." "Are you?" Marcus asked gently. "Because that car looks like it's barely running. And your apartment, the one listed in the school records, is in a neighborhood that's not exactly safe." "Don't you dare," Naomi said, her voice shaking with rage. "Don't you dare judge me, Marcus. I'm doing the best I can." "I never said you weren't," Marcus said quickly. "I'm just saying that you don't have to do it alone anymore. I can help. The children deserve the best of everything." "And you think money is the best of everything?" Naomi asked. "You think throwing cash at them will make up for being absent? That's exactly what you thought before, Marcus. That's exactly why our marriage failed. Because you thought love could be bought. That family was a transaction. That's not what I think now, Marcus insisted. Then what do you think? Naomi demanded. Tell me, Marcus, what exactly do you think being a father means? It means being there, Marcus said. It means showing up. It means putting them first. And can you do that? Naomi asked. Can you put someone else first? Can you be present and patient and selfless? Because that's not who you were 3 years ago. That's not who you've ever been. People can change, Marcus said. Can they? Naomi looked at him with something like pity. Or do they just say they've changed because they want something? I want to know my children, Marcus said. That's all. Just a chance to be part of their lives. And what about Vivian? Naomi asked. Does she know you're here? Does she know you're trying to build a relationship with your ex-wife's children? She knows, Marcus said. And she's thrilled, I'm sure, Naomi said sarcastically. Actually, we're having some problems, Marcus admitted. Surprise, surprise, Naomi said. The second wife is having issues with the first wife's kids. How unexpected. It's not like that, Marcus protested. Then what's it like? Naomi asked. Explain it to me, Marcus. Because from where I'm standing, you have a whole other life, a whole other family, and you want to just add my children to it like they're an accessory, like they're something you can pick up and put down when it's convenient. That's not true, Marcus said. Isn't it? Naomi challenged. What happens when things get hard, Marcus? What happens when having quadruplets in your life is messy and complicated and inconvenient? What happens when Vivian gives you an ultimatum? When your board of directors questions your judgment? When society gossips about the scandal? What happens then? I wouldn't abandon them, Marcus said. You already did, Naomi pointed out. You abandoned Dee. He stood in the parking lot watching her disappear into the building, and for the first time in 3 years, he felt something like hope. Marcus spent the next week in a state of anxious anticipation. Every time his phone rang, he grabbed it, hoping it was Naomi. But the call didn't come. Instead, his life started unraveling in other ways. Vivian had moved into the guest bedroom permanently and was barely speaking to him. She'd started going out more, coming home late, posting photos on social media with captions about living her best life. Marcus barely noticed. He was too busy reading everything he could about raising toddlers, about quadruplets, about being a father to children you'd missed the first years of. James found him one afternoon surrounded by parenting books, looking completely overwhelmed. Sir, your 3 o'clock is waiting, his assistant said gently. Cancel it, Marcus said without looking up. Did you know that 2-year-olds need between 11 and 14 hours of sleep a day? And that they go through developmental leaps that affect their behavior? I had no idea. Sir, that's the board meeting, James said. The quarterly review. Cancel it, Marcus repeated. Tell them I have a family emergency. James hesitated. Is everything all right, sir? No, Marcus admitted. But it will be. I'm going to make sure it will be. 10 days after their conversation in the parking lot, Naomi finally called. Marcus answered on the first ring. Saturday, she said without preamble. 2 o'clock. The park near the school. You'll have 1 hour with them. That's it. I'll be there, Marcus said. Thank you, Naomi. Thank you so much. Don't thank me yet, she said. This might be a disaster. Just don't be late, don't bring gifts, and don't make promises you can't keep. Understood? Understood, Marcus said. Naomi, how should I? How should I what? She interrupted. I don't know what to say to them, Marcus admitted. How do I introduce myself? Tell them the truth, Naomi said. Age-appropriate truth. Tell them you're their father and you're sorry you haven't been around. Tell them you want to know them. And then listen more than you talk. Can you do that, Marcus? Can you listen? I can try, he said. That's all I'm asking, Naomi replied and hung up. Saturday couldn't come fast enough. Marcus changed his clothes 4 times, trying to figure out what a good father would wear to meet his children for the first time. The suit felt wrong. Too formal. Too distant. He finally settled on jeans and a button-down shirt, feeling like an imposter in his own casual clothes. He arrived at the park 15 minutes early and sat on a bench, watching other families play. A father was pushing his daughter on the swings, both of them laughing. A mother was helping her son across the monkey bars, encouraging him with every step. These were the moments Marcus had missed, the everyday, ordinary moments that made up a childhood. At exactly 2 o'clock, he saw Naomi's car pull up. His heart started racing as she got out and opened the back doors. The 4 children tumbled out, full of energy and life. They were dressed in matching outfits, blue and white, and even from a distance, Marcus could see how they looked out for each other. Naomi said something to them, kneeling down to their level. All 4 children looked in Marcus's direction. He stood up slowly, trying to appear non-threatening. Naomi walked toward him with the children trailing behind her like ducklings. She looked tired, Marcus noticed. Dark circles under her eyes, hair pulled back in a messy bun, clothes that had seen better days. How many nights of sleep had she lost raising his children alone? "Kids," Naomi said when they reached the bench. "This is Marcus." She hesitated, and Marcus saw the conflict on her face. "He's your father," she finally said. 4 pairs of eyes stared at him with varying degrees of curiosity and suspicion. Ethan, the bolder of the 2 boys, stepped forward first. "You're our daddy?" he asked. "Yes," Marcus said, his voice catching. "I'm your daddy." "Where have you been?" Emma asked, her head tilted exactly like his mother used to do. "I've been away," Marcus said, looking at Naomi for help. "But I'm here now, and I want to get to know you. All of you." "Why?" Elliot asked. The question was so simple and yet so complicated. "Because you're my children," Marcus said, "and I love you." "Even though he doesn't know us yet," Naomi added quietly. "But he wants to. Is that okay with you guys?" The children looked at each other, having some kind of silent conversation. Finally, Eden, who had been hiding behind Naomi's legs, spoke up in a tiny voice. "Are you nice?" The question broke Marcus's heart. "Yes," he said, crouching down to their level. "I'm nice, and I'm so happy to meet you." "Do you want to play with us?" Ethan asked. "I'd love to," Marcus said. The children seemed to accept this and immediately ran toward the playground. Marcus looked at Naomi. "Go," she said, gesturing toward the kids. "But remember, 1 hour. I'll be right over there." She pointed to a bench on the other side of the playground. "I'll be watching." Marcus walked toward the playground, unsure of what to do. The children were climbing on everything, fearless and fast. "Watch me," Emma called from the top of the slide. Marcus's heart leapt into his throat. "Be careful," he called back. She slid down with a huge grin and ran back to do it again. Elliot was trying to reach the monkey bars but was too short. Marcus walked over. "Need help?" he asked. Elliot nodded. Marcus lifted him up carefully and the boy grabbed the first bar. "Good job," Marcus said. "You're strong." Elliot beamed at him and moved to the next bar. "Push me," Eden demanded from the swings. Marcus walked over and gave her a gentle push. "Higher," she commanded. "Are you sure?" Marcus asked, looking at Naomi. She nodded. He pushed a little harder and Eden squealed with delight. This went on for 45 minutes. Marcus pushing swings, catching kids at the bottom of slides, helping with monkey bars, pretending to be a monster that they had to run away from. He was exhausted and exhilarated at the same time. These were his children. His. Then Ethan asked the question Marcus had been dreading. "Why weren't you here before?" The other 3 children stopped playing and looked at Marcus, waiting for an answer. He glanced at Naomi, who was watching intently. "I made a mistake," Marcus said slowly, sitting down on the grass. "When your mama and I were married, we wanted to have a baby very much. But it was hard, and I got frustrated. I did something really bad. I left your mama, and I didn't know that you 4 were coming. By the time I found out about you, you were already born, and I'd missed so much time." "Did you not want us?" Emma asked, and the pain in her small voice was unbearable. "Oh no," Marcus said quickly. "No, that's not it at all. I didn't know you existed. But the moment I saw you, the moment I realized you were mine, I wanted you so much. I wanted to know you and love you and be your daddy. But it's complicated because I wasn't there at the beginning. Are you going to leave again? Elliot asked. No, Marcus promised, even as he wondered if he could keep that promise. I want to stay. I want to be part of your life, if you'll let me. Do you love Mama? Eden asked. The question caught Marcus off guard. Your Mama is a wonderful person, he said carefully. She's an amazing mother to you. But do you love her? Eden persisted. Marcus looked across the playground at Naomi. She was watching them, her face unreadable. I care about her very much, Marcus said. It's complicated, baby. Adults make things complicated sometimes. The children seemed to accept this answer. Can you come to our house? Ethan asked. I don't know, Marcus said. That's up to your mama. But I hope so. I'd like to see where you live and play and sleep. Their hour was almost up. Marcus could see Naomi checking her watch. We have to go soon, he told the children. But can I see you again? Do you want to see us again? Emma asked. More than anything, Marcus said. And he meant it. Then I guess you can, Ethan decided, as if he was the one in charge. But you have to bring snacks next time. Snacks? Marcus repeated, smiling. What kind of snacks? Goldfish crackers, Elliot said immediately. And juice boxes. And cookies, Eden added. Okay, Marcus said. Goldfish crackers, juice boxes, and cookies. I can do that. It's time to go, Naomi called from across the playground. The children ran to their mother, talking excitedly all at once. Marcus walked over more slowly, his heart full and breaking at the same time. That was good, Naomi said quietly. They liked you. I liked them, Marcus said. They're amazing, Naomi. You've done such a good job with them. Naomi's eyes filled with tears. Don't, she said. Don't make this harder. I'm just stating a fact, Marcus said. You're an incredible mother. When can I see them again? Next Saturday, Naomi said. Same time, same place. But Marcus, if you miss it, if you don't show up, that's it. No more chances. I'll be here, Marcus promised. I'll always be here. The next week followed the same pattern. Marcus showed up with snacks, played with the children for an hour, and left wanting more. By the third Saturday, the kids were running to him when they arrived, calling him Daddy like it was the most natural thing in the world. Marcus felt like his heart was going to explode. This was what mattered. This was what life was supposed to be about. Not board meetings or stock prices or business deals. This. These four small humans who looked at him with trust and joy. But things at home were deteriorating rapidly. Vivian had figured out what was happening and she was furious. You're spending every Saturday with them, she accused one night. With her. What about us? What about Chelsea? What about me? Chelsea has her father, Marcus said. He sees her every other weekend. And you have everything you could possibly want. Everything except a husband who's present, Vivian shot back. You're obsessed with them, Marcus. With her. This isn't healthy. They're my children, Marcus said. I'm trying to be a father. At the expense of being a husband, Vivian said. At the expense of the life we built together. You know what? I'm done. I'm filing for divorce. Good, Marcus said, and realized he meant it. He should feel something. Guilt, regret, anger. But all he felt was relief. This marriage had been a mistake. He'd married Vivian to fill the void that Naomi left. But you can't fill a void with the wrong person. I'll have my lawyers draw up the papers, Vivian said coldly. Make sure they're generous, Marcus replied. I won't fight you on anything. I just want this to be clean and quick. Fine, Vivian said. But Marcus, when this all falls apart, when Naomi realizes you haven't actually changed, when those kids realize you're not father material, don't come crying to me. I won't, Marcus promised. He moved into a hotel that night, taking only what he needed. The penthouse, the possessions, all of it could stay with Vivian. He didn't care. He had more important things to think about, like how to tell Naomi he was getting divorced, like how to ask if he could see the children more than once a week, like how to become the father they deserved. On the fourth Saturday, Marcus arrived at the park with his usual snacks and found Naomi sitting on their bench, crying. The children were playing nearby, oblivious to their mother's distress. "Naomi, what's wrong?" Marcus asked, sitting down beside her. She quickly wiped her eyes. "It's nothing, just a hard week." "Talk to me," Marcus said gently. "What happened?" "My landlord is raising the rent," Naomi said. "By $500 a month. I can't afford it. I've been looking for another place, but everything is so expensive, and daycare costs keep going up. I don't know how I'm going to make it work." "Let me help," Marcus said immediately. "I can pay." "I don't want your money, Marcus," Naomi said. "I've told you that." "This isn't about wanting," Marcus said. "This is about needing. You need help, Naomi. Let me give it. The children need stability. They need a safe place to live. Let me provide that for them." "Why?" Naomi asked, looking at him with red-rimmed eyes. "Why do you care so much suddenly?" "Because they're my children," Marcus said. "And because you're carrying a burden that should have been shared from the beginning. I can't change the past, but I can help with the present." "I don't want to be your charity case," Naomi said. "You're not charity," Marcus said. "You're the mother of my children. You're family." Naomi laughed bitterly. "Family? That's rich coming from you." "I know I don't deserve your trust," Marcus said. "I know I've done nothing to earn it. But please, Naomi, let me do this. Not for you, for them." Naomi was quiet for a long time, watching the children play. Finally, she spoke. "If I accept your help, it comes with conditions." "Name them," Marcus said. "First, this doesn't change anything between us," Naomi said. "We're not suddenly co-parents or friends or anything else. You're still working to earn your place in their lives." "Understood," Marcus said. "Second, I keep control of the finances," Naomi continued. "You don't get to dictate where we live or how I spend money. You help, but you don't control." "Agreed," Marcus said. "And third," she hesitated. "If you disappear again, if you hurt them, I will never forgive you, and you'll never see them again." "I won't disappear," Marcus promised. "I'm all in, Naomi. Completely." "We'll see," Naomi said. She pulled out her phone. "Here's the information from my landlord. If you want to negotiate a new lease or find us a new place, be my guest. But nothing flashy, Marcus. I don't want the kids growing up thinking they're entitled to luxury." "I understand," Marcus said. He took the information and immediately started typing on his phone. "What are you doing?" Naomi asked. "Texting my real estate agent," Marcus said. "I'll have a list of appropriate apartments by tomorrow, and before you say anything, I promise they'll be normal places. Safe, clean, affordable. Nothing that screams billionaire's ex-wife." Naomi shook her head. "This is so weird." "What is?" Marcus asked. "You," Naomi said. "Helping me. Being reasonable. Acting like you actually care." "I do care," Marcus said quietly. "More than you know." Over the next month, things shifted. Marcus found Naomi and the children a beautiful 3-bedroom apartment in a safe neighborhood with good schools nearby. The rent was reasonable, the space was perfect for 4 active toddlers, and most importantly, Naomi had approved it. He'd also quietly started paying for their daycare and had set up a trust fund for each child's education, but he did it all through lawyers and accountants, keeping his name out of it as much as possible. He didn't want credit. He just wanted them taken care of. His visits with the children increased to twice a week, Wednesdays after daycare and Saturdays in the park. The kids had started calling him Daddy consistently, and sometimes they'd forget he hadn't always been there. "Remember when you took us to the zoo?" Emma asked one day. "I've never taken you to the zoo," Marcus said gently. "That was your mama." "Oh," Emma said, looking confused. "But you'll take us sometime, right?" "Definitely," Marcus promised. "Soon. How about next Saturday?" Naomi was slowly warming up to him. Marcus could tell. She still kept her distance, still watched his every interaction with the children like she was waiting for him to fail, but sometimes she'd smile when one of the kids made him laugh. Sometimes she'd share little stories about their day. Sometimes she'd let him stay for a few extra minutes past their agreed time. It felt like progress. Felt like maybe, just maybe. She was starting to see that he'd changed, that he was serious about being a father. Then one Wednesday, Marcus showed up at Naomi's apartment to pick up the kids and found chaos. Naomi was on the phone, her voice strained, while all 4 children were crying. Elliot had a fever, Emma had thrown up, Ethan was complaining his ear hurt, and Eden was crying because everyone else was crying. Marcus stood in the doorway, taking in the scene. "What can I do?" he asked. "Nothing," Naomi said, hanging up the phone. "The pediatrician can't see us until tomorrow. I think it's just a virus going around. They all have it. I'm sorry, I should have texted you. We can't do our visit today." "Let me stay," Marcus said. "Let me help." Naomi looked at him skeptically. "You don't know how to take care of sick kids." "I can learn," Marcus said. "Please. You look exhausted." "Let me do something." Naomi hesitated, then nodded. "Fine. But don't say I didn't warn you." The next 6 hours were the hardest of Marcus's life. He'd negotiated billion-dollar deals, had run a company through economic crises, had faced down hostile takeovers. None of that compared to taking care of 4 sick toddlers. There was vomit and tears and endless demands for juice and crackers and mama. Marcus changed sheets when Emma threw up again. He sat with Ethan, holding a warm compress to his ear while the boy cried. He rocked Eden to sleep even though she kept waking up fussy. He took Elliot's temperature every hour like Naomi instructed. And through it all, Naomi was there too, moving from child to child with practiced ease, knowing exactly what each one needed. At midnight, when all 4 kids were finally asleep, Marcus collapsed on the couch next to Naomi. "That was the hardest thing I've ever done," he admitted. "Welcome to parenting," Naomi said with a tired smile. They sat in silence for a while, both too exhausted to move. Marcus looked around the small apartment. Toys everywhere, kid drawings on the fridge, laundry waiting to be folded. It was messy and chaotic and absolutely perfect. "You do this every day," Marcus said. "Not just the sick days, but all of it. Every single day by yourself." "Pretty much," Naomi said. "That's incredible," Marcus said. "You're incredible, Naomi." Naomi looked at him, something shifting in her expression. "You stayed," she said quietly. "When things got messy and hard and gross, you stayed." "I said I would," Marcus replied. "I meant it. I think I'm starting to believe that," Naomi admitted. Marcus felt his heart leap. "Really?" "Don't get too excited," Naomi said. "Starting to believe isn't the same as fully believing." "But it's something. It's something," Marcus agreed. They sat together in the quiet apartment, listening to the sound of 4 children breathing in their bedrooms. Marcus realized this was exactly where he wanted to be. Not in his hotel suite or his office or anywhere else. Here, with his children and the woman he'd been stupid enough to let go. "Marcus," Naomi said softly. "Yeah? Thank you for helping tonight." "Of course," Marcus said. "I'm their father. I should be helping." The divorce from Vivian was finalized 6 weeks later. It was quick and clean, exactly as Marcus had wanted. Vivian got the penthouse, a generous settlement, and her freedom. Marcus got to move forward with his life. He bought a modest house near Naomi's apartment, 3 bedrooms, a yard for the kids to play in, close enough that he could be there in 5 minutes if needed. James thought he'd lost his mind. "Sir, you're a billionaire living in a suburban 3-bedroom house," his assistant said. "Are you having some kind of crisis?" "I'm having the opposite of a crisis," Marcus said. "I'm having clarity." His relationship with the children had deepened over the months. They trusted him now, looked forward to seeing him, cried when it was time for him to leave. Ethan had started asking when Daddy was moving in with them. Emma liked to tell him about everything that happened at school. Elliot would climb into his lap to read stories. And Eden, sweet Eden, had started calling him her favorite daddy, even though he was her only daddy. These were the moments Marcus had thought he didn't need. The ordinary, everyday moments of being a parent. Turns out, they were the only moments that mattered. Naomi had softened toward him considerably. They'd started having actual conversations, talking about more than just the kids. She'd told him about her job as a freelance graphic designer, work she did from home between caring for the children. He told her about his decision to step back from the CEO role, to bring in new leadership so he could focus on what really mattered. Sometimes they'd laugh together about something one of the kids said. Sometimes they'd share a look of mutual exhaustion when all 4 children were being difficult. It felt like friendship. Maybe even something more. One Saturday, 6 months after he'd first seen them in the school parking lot, Marcus was at Naomi's apartment helping with dinner. The kids were in the living room watching a movie, and Marcus was chopping vegetables while Naomi stirred sauce on the stove. It was domestic and comfortable in a way that made Marcus's chest ache. "Can I ask you something?" Naomi said, not looking at him. "Anything," Marcus replied. "Why did you really divorce me?" she asked. "And don't give me the PR answer about wanting children. Tell me the real reason." Marcus set down the knife and thought about how to answer truthfully. "I was scared," he finally said. "Of what?" Naomi asked. "Of failing," Marcus said. "Of not being able to fix something. My whole life, I've been able to solve problems with money or power or connections. But I couldn't fix our fertility issues. I couldn't make it happen no matter how hard I tried. And instead of accepting that, instead of just being patient and loving you through it, I took the coward's way out. I blamed you, and I left." "That must have been really hard for you," Naomi said, and Marcus couldn't tell if she was being sarcastic. "It was," Marcus admitted. "But not as hard as what I put you through. Not even close." "Do you ever think about what our life would have been like?" Naomi asked. "If you'd stayed? If you'd been there when I found out I was pregnant?" "Every day," Marcus said. "Every single day." "And what do you think?" Naomi turned to look at him. "I think I would have been terrified," Marcus said. 4 babies at once. The complications, the fear. I think I would have made a lot of mistakes. But I also think I would have been there. Would have held your hand through every appointment. Would have sat with you in the NICU. Would have changed diapers and done night feedings and been so tired I couldn't see straight. And I would have loved it. All of it. Because I would have been with you." Naomi's eyes filled with tears. "That's what I needed to hear," she said quietly. "What?" Marcus asked. "That you understand what you lost," Naomi said. "That you regret it. That you would have done things differently. I needed to know it wasn't just about the kids for you. That you actually cared about me too." "I did care," Marcus said. "I do care." "I never stopped caring, Naomi. I was just too stupid and proud to admit it." The sauce started bubbling over. Naomi turned to deal with it, wiping her eyes quickly. "We should probably get the kids to the table," she said. "Before they realize dinner is ready and chaos ensues." That night, after dinner was done and dishes were washed and kids were in bed, Marcus was getting ready to leave when Naomi stopped him at the door. "Marcus," she said. "Stay." "What?" He turned back to her. "Stay," she repeated. Not in a weird way. "But it's late, and you've been here all day helping, and I don't want you to go yet." "Okay," Marcus said, his heart racing. "I can stay." They ended up on the couch, the same couch where Marcus had collapsed 6 months ago after taking care of sick children. But this time there was no emergency, no crisis. Just 2 people who'd been through hell together and had somehow ended up on the other side. "Tell me about your life now," Naomi said. "What's it like being a part-time father?" "It's not enough," Marcus admitted. "I want more. I want to be here every day. I want to tuck them in at night and make them breakfast in the morning. I want to be the one they call for when they have bad dreams. I want to be a real father, not a visiting one." "That's not how this works," Naomi said. "I know," Marcus said, "but that doesn't change what I want." "What do you want besides that?" Naomi asked. "You," Marcus said without hesitation. "I want you. I want us to be a family. I want to have another chance at what I destroyed." Naomi looked at him for a long moment. "That's not something I can give you," she said. "Why not?" Marcus asked. "Because I'm not the same person I was 3 years ago," Naomi said. "I'm not your wife anymore, Marcus. I'm not the woman who waited for you to come home from work and planned fancy dinners and tried so hard to be perfect. I'm a mother of 4 who barely has time to shower, who lives in yoga pants, who's covered in goldfish cracker crumbs most of the time. I don't know if I can be someone's wife again. Especially yours. I don't want the old you, Marcus said. I want this you, the real you. The woman who raises 4 incredible children by herself. The woman who's strong enough to give me a second chance even though I don't deserve it. The woman who makes me want to be better. You're saying all the right things, Naomi said. I mean them, Marcus replied. I know you do, Naomi said. And that's what scares me. Because what if you mean them now but change your mind later? What if this is just guilt or nostalgia or some midlife crisis? What if you wake up one day and realize you don't actually want this life? Then I'll be back where I started. Except worse, because my kids will be hurt too. That won't happen, Marcus insisted. You can't promise that, Naomi said. Nobody can promise that. You're right, Marcus said. I can't promise I'll never make mistakes. I can't promise everything will be perfect. But I can promise that I'll show up. Every day, every challenge, every difficult moment. I'll be there. And I'll keep being there until you believe me. How long will that take? Naomi asked. As long as it needs to, Marcus said. He stood up to leave. I should go. The kids have school tomorrow. Marcus, Naomi called as he reached the door. He turned back. Thank you for staying tonight. Anytime, Marcus said. Literally anytime. Just call and I'll be here. Over the next few months, Marcus made good on his promise. He was there for everything. School pickups when Naomi had work deadlines. Emergency diaper runs when they ran out. Late-night calls when one of the kids was sick and Naomi needed backup. Birthday parties and doctor's appointments and ordinary Tuesdays when nothing special was happening. He showed up, consistently and reliably, until showing up became routine. Until the kids expected him to be there. Until Naomi stopped being surprised when he appeared. The breakthrough came on a rainy Thursday afternoon. Marcus had picked up the kids from daycare and brought them back to Naomi's apartment. She was in her home office on a video call with a client, looking stressed. Marcus got the kids a snack, put on a movie, and started making dinner. Nothing fancy, just pasta and sauce. But it was something. When Naomi emerged from her office an hour later, she found the kitchen clean, dinner ready, and all 4 children happily eating at the table. You made dinner, she said, stunned, and cleaned the kitchen. And made sure they washed their hands first, Marcus added. I'm learning. Naomi sat down at the table, looking around at her children, and the man who was trying so hard to be their father. This is nice, she said quietly. This is what family looks like, Marcus replied. I know, Naomi said. That's what scares me. It doesn't have to be scary, Marcus said. Maybe not for you, Naomi replied. But I'm the one who lost everything last time. I'm the one who had to rebuild from nothing. And I'm not sure I can survive losing it all again. You won't lose anything, Marcus promised. Not this time. How do you know? Naomi asked. Because I know what I'm fighting for now, Marcus said. And I won't let it go. That weekend was Ethan's 3rd birthday. Naomi had planned a small party at a local park with a few friends from daycare. Marcus showed up early to help set up, bringing balloons and decorations and way too many presents for one child. You went overboard, Naomi said, looking at the pile of gifts. I'm making up for lost time, Marcus said. You can't buy their love, Marcus, Naomi warned. I'm not trying to, Marcus said. I just want them to know they're special. They already know that, Naomi said. Because I tell them every day. But okay, fine. The gifts are nice. Just don't make it a habit. The party was chaotic and perfect. Kids running everywhere, cake getting smashed, presents being torn open with wild abandon. Marcus found himself in the middle of it all, helping kids on the swings, wiping faces, making sure no one wandered off. At one point, he looked over and saw Naomi watching him with an expression he couldn't quite read. Later, when the party was winding down and most families had left, Ethan climbed into Marcus's lap. Thank you for my party, Daddy, he said. You're welcome, buddy, Marcus replied, his throat tight. Did you have fun? The bestest fun ever, Ethan confirmed. And you know what? What? Marcus asked. I'm glad you're my daddy now. Now. Marcus thought about that word. as if he hadn't always been the father, just wasn't fulfilling the role. Maybe that was accurate. Maybe being a father wasn't about biology, it was about being present. "I'm glad too," Marcus said. "So glad." Naomi came over and held out her hand for Ethan. "Come on, birthday boy. Time to say goodbye to your friends." Ethan scrambled off Marcus's lap and ran to say goodbye to the last remaining child. Naomi sat down beside Marcus on the bench. "That was a good party," she said. "You helped make it special." "I tried," Marcus said. "You did more than try," Naomi said. "You've been doing more than tea." And in that moment, Marcus knew this was what success really looked like. Not billions or offices or fancy cars, but love, family, second chances, and the courage to choose what matters most. What did you think of Marcus and Naomi's story? Leave your thoughts in the comments. Rate this story from 0 to 10. Don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell to follow all our stories. And check out more emotional stories right here on the final screen.